All right, we should be synced and live. There we go. Welcome back to another episode of Align and Shine with Meryl and I. We are so excited to be on live
Yes.
and a little bit little tiny bit of anxiety because when you get two bomb ass ladies together moving big energy online, things happen with tech. So
We're
that's
still
what
in retrograde.
we're still in retrograde. Things happen. So, having said that, since we are like live today, let us know if you notice any quality differences versus our pre-recorded sessions, or if you have any, trouble hearing, understanding, etc. We're still trying to find the ideal way to deliver this to you, and we're just open to serving in the best that we can. So, oh, Meryl, it's been a little bit since we recorded one last because I was deep, deep in finishing up a project, and I'm so thrilled to be back with you. So,
Me too.
just thank you again for being willing to do this with me.
Of course. I love it.
And like I said, we're back for episode 4. So if you haven't seen one of these yet, they're available on YouTube, the permanent replays. And we just do some energy clearing, we do some EFT tapping, and then I do a collective card pull. And we really just get to share our gifts with you that you can watch whenever you want, wherever you want. So today we've chosen to talk about irritation. And I was sitting with it before we got on. I'm like, what's irritated me lately? And I had some fun things come up that I'm sure we'll use today. But we're just going to start with some collective energy clearing. So I'm sure, Meryl, you've had some things that have irritated you too recently. Like, it's a very human emotion to feel irritated.
Absolutely. And
Yeah.
I think that we think it's so normal that we just kind of pass it by, you know? But what ends up happening is that the one irritation gets layered on the next and gets layered on the next and gets layered on the next. And then all of a sudden we're like, ah!
Yeah. And I was thinking of like in human design, there are these not self themes, is what it's called. And my not self theme is frustration. And I think frustration and irritation are, two very similar words. Of course,
Sure.
we all have different meanings for different words. But that sense of just like something's grating on you, right? That shows us that something's out of alignment. Something's not quite either meeting our expectations and we need to check our expectations, or we're not showing up for it in some way. So there's so many different causes of irritation, but I invite you, if you're watching this and I'm doing this and Meryl's doing this, to just kind of think about that energy of irritation and how it shows up in your life, just with a gentle awareness. You don't have to get deep right now, but maybe just noticing how in your body you feel when you feel irritated. And we're just going to breathe here and just relax a little into this as I collectively do some energy clearing around the energy of irritation. So maybe there is a recent situation that immediately comes to mind. Maybe you've just been irritated about something big for a long time. Whatever it is, just allowing yourself to be present with irritation. And as you inhale, I invite you to let that sweep through the irritation. And as you exhale, release some of it. More specific. Ooh, yeah, good. Thank you for that. Ah, irritations around work, irritations around parenting, irritation around finances, irritation around relationships, irritation about schedules. We can be irritated about really anything. And when it goes unchecked and we forget it, like Meryl said, right? Like, it's so common. We're just like, whatever, I'm not going to process it. It builds, and it has the capacity to build into resentment. That.
Yep.
So just for right now, just allowing any irritation that might be present right now to clear from your body as much as it's willing to. And I'm just going to collectively call in with this energy clearing that we make more capacity for being present, mindful, passionate, loving, kind. as we release more and more irritation. We don't have to be irritated with ourselves or others all the time. We're allowed to draw boundaries and create. Imagine that you can create the space for new situations for yourself. You then call yourself home.
You are, um, you're cutting out a little bit.
All right. Well, that's part of doing it live, right?
I know. Yeah.
We'll just hope and pray. So again, just breathe it in, call yourself back, and exhale, let go of any irritation. I'll let go of irritation of technology right here
Yep.
now.
Let it go.
Let it go.
Let it go.
Ah. So, let's get into some tapping. Meryl, if you want to give your little background on tapping, and I like to say, and I'm sure Meryl will say it again, I like to remind you to put in your own words when I'm speaking. So Meryl prompts and then I respond, but you get to put in your own words in that place as we get going into tapping. So
Yeah.
yeah.
All right. So I would suggest that maybe you have a journal and a pen and some water or some herbal tea, because whenever you're doing energy work, it's really important for you to stay hydrated. She has both. She's double fisting it.
Yep.
Um, so one thing that was coming to mind for me when you were just doing your little intro and clearing our energy is we could have a lot of irritations, throughout our day. So one thing that you can do at the end of your day is check in. Some people may have a gratitude journal. Some people may want to go through their wins of the day, or positive things. But what about the things that irritated you? Maybe you make a list of a few of those things and you can tap on, and what we call that in my world is the worst moment of your day, so that you're not going to sleep shoving down and stuffing down the irritations, and then you wake up the next morning and you're like, yeah, that's kind of in the past, right? But like Safrianna was saying is, and I was saying before, right, they build on each other and then build inside this stuck resentment and energy that leaves you maybe feeling sad, angry, frustrated, all the things. And we don't want that. We want to constantly get the stuff up and out. So at the end of your day, you can always say, well, what was the worst moment of my day today? And, pick a couple of things and just tap on them, like we're going to do now. So EFT tapping uses meridian points to tap on: right side of your hand, top of your head, in between the eyebrows, corners of the eyes, underneath the eyes, under the nose, under the lip, under the collarbone, and under the arm next to your chest here. You can do both sides, or this way, right? I just typically do
I do
one
the chicken
side.
wings.
Yes, she does the chicken wings. And then we'll also experience some optimal EFT, which is an upgraded version that's like Reiki on steroids. So we'll just get right into it. Do you have something that you want to work on?
Yeah, so I was trying to think of something that I've felt like a irritation over lately, and it has been like other people's demands of me. And I was like, this is something a lot of us experience, is we're
Yeah.
trying to have better boundaries or kind of come into our own balance, and other people might place expectations or demands on us. And if we're actually aware of this happening and we're not so like willing to just people please immediately, that can definitely come with irritation. And so a specific like scene that came up for me was of course I launched a book 2 weeks ago, huge energetic project, and I decided to take the next 2 weeks to really rest. And during that time I received an email from somebody who was like networking with me, and I didn't reply right away. And 5 days the email sat there, and this person ended up sending a second email being like, "Do you want to connect or not?" And that was the whole email.
Oh.
And I was like, "Bruh."
Yeah.
Like, I was so irritated. I was like, you don't even know me. We've never talked before. Like, why are you expecting me to be on? And so it brought up this huge swell of irritation.
Okay.
And that was just like a good example of like a stranger irritating me because
Perfect.
I'm like, how do you not understand? Right. But of course
Yeah.
they don't understand.
All right.
I'm
Perfect.
irritated.
And what's so interesting is I'm just going to plug that just yesterday I did a YouTube video that's on my channel on letting go of people pleasing, overgiving, and overdoing.
Brilliant.
So after you do this video on being irritated on something similar, you'll go over and you'll watch the other one because they go hand in hand.
Perfect.
All right, so we're going to start tapping on the side of your hand. And just for the people who haven't done this before, I'll just say we are creating a setup statement and an acceptance phrase on the side of the hand so that your subconscious knows exactly what we're working on. So Safrianna and I are going to go through our own little script here, but you can totally plug in your own situation and your own words and your own feelings and all of that and your own numbers and stuff. So, all right. So Safrianna, when you think of this email, you're irritated at what number right now? Not
right.
then.
Yeah. Right now it's about a 4.
A 4. Okay. So even though I'm irritated, when I think of this email I got, which said, do you want to connect or not?
That said, do you want to connect or not? More or less.
Yeah. I'm just honoring how I feel.
I'm just honoring how I feel.
And even though when I think of this email I got, it really irritates me. And it's out of 4. I'm acknowledging I feel this way. And even though I feel irritated, when I got this email that said, do you want to connect or not? Now, we don't know, and I'm just saying this, we don't know that there was this, irritated inflection from this other person.
Right.
That's how it landed for Safrianna. And we can only change our reactions, right, to other people. We can't change other people. So,
yep.
And okay, I'm not going to ask that yet, but I have lots of things are coming in for me to say, but I'm going to hold my tongue for a moment. All right, so let's just go with one more time. Even though I'm irritated, I'm open to the possibility of letting this go, and I deeply and completely love, accept, and forgive myself anyway. And now we'll go through the points. I'm irritated. In between the eyebrows. All this irritation. Outside the eyes. I'm irritated. Underneath the eyes. Irritated. Under the nose. All this irritation. On the chin. I'm irritated. And under the collarbone. Irritated. And under the arm. I'm irritated. All right, so let's just pause for a moment. And for anyone who's watching, if you have numbers that are like a 7 or above, I would go through those points and just do some tapping and breathing before you get into some words. And make sure that you're saying things like, I'm safe, nothing bad is happening, I got through this situation. Right? It really helps to keep your body calm and to know that you're in control of yourself, right? And your feelings and your body. And, what I'm just feeling is just feelings, they're emotions, things like that.
Mm-hmm.
But Safrianna's number was already really low, so we didn't have to do that. But do you know where this might be connected to your body physically at all? When you envision yourself receiving that email, like what was that like for you, and what is it still like today?
When it happened, I actually did some tapping in the moment. I was like, I'm putting my phone down. I'm not engaging. And I chose not to respond for another like 12 hours because I wanted to get away from the energy. But it was this like hot fire that burned up from my root up through my shoulders and down my arms. And then after that initial sort of anger, and like I immediately came back down into some reason, but I was still irritated. It
Yeah.
was just this more heat through sort of the center. So even now, when I like recall it, I feel that heat in my low stomach.
Okay. What temperature would you say it's at?
Um, it's like
Like,
just under boiling.
oh, okay. Just under boiling.
Just under
I
boiling.
was picturing like the thermometer where, it's green, yellow, red, kind of thing. Okay. So just under boiling. All right.
Yeah.
So we don't have to go back to the side of the hand because we're going to stay with the same word irritation, but we're going to add in this, boiling heat in it. Okay. So top of the head. This irritated boiling heat.
This irritated boiling heat.
In between the eyebrows. This boiling heat that's irritated.
This boiling heat that's irritated.
Outside the eyes. This irritated boiling heat.
This irritated boiling heat.
Underneath the eyes. This irritated boiling heat.
This irritated boiling heat.
And under the nose. This irritated boiling heat from my root to...
This irritated boiling heat from my root to my throat.
To my throat. On the chin. From my root to my throat, I feel this boiling heat.
From my root to my throat, I feel this boiling heat.
Under the collarbone. Deep breath in. And out. This boiling heat from my root to my throat.
This boiling heat from my root to my throat.
And under the arm, this irritated boiling heat.
This irritated boiling heat.
All right, back to the top of the head. Nothing bad is happening right now.
Nothing bad is happening right now.
In between the eyebrows. I'm just reliving the story.
I'm just reliving the story.
Outside the eyes. Right here and now, I am safe.
Right here and now, I am safe.
Underneath the eyes, and nothing bad is happening.
And nothing bad is happening.
Under the nose, but I'm still irritated.
But I'm still irritated.
On the chin. Do you still have the boiling heat?
It's definitely just like warm now. It's been coming down especially as we got into this second round.
Okay, good. All right. So this irritated warm heat.
This irritated warm heat.
And under the collarbone. This warm heat that's irritated.
This warm heat that's irritated.
And under the arm, this irritated warm heat from my root to my throat.
This irritated warm heat from my root to my throat.
Okay, pause, eyes closed, deep breath in through the nose, and out your mouth. Right, breathing that way really helps to move and shift the energy. And I would take a sip of water. So now when you envision yourself reading that email, do you want to connect or not? How does that land for you now?
I feel the boundary around it. Like, just like a firm boundary about how I would want to respond to that energy, where there's more of a not taking it so personally. Like, there's more of a remove. Mm-hmm. This isn't my energy to take in. I'm receiving this, but it's not mine to take in, and I don't need to be irritated about it because it's not mine.
Right.
What I've noticed though is we've been tapping, and we were getting down and down and down, like into clearing out this energy. Is the root of it was fear of disappointing others.
Yeah.
Like, I'm irritated because I have a fear of disappointing others, and they are making demands, or it seems like sometimes people are making demands at a time when I'm not gonna respond, and I fear disappointing them.
Right. And this was what I was holding my tongue on earlier because I didn't want to get to that point too quickly. But it's great for my clients to have these awarenesses on their own and not just, me tell them or ask them, because you really embody it, on a deeper level to have that awareness yourself.
Right.
Because that is, a pattern, right? And I probably would have felt the same way. If somebody sent me an email, I'd be like, oh my God, I didn't respond. I got to respond. Oh, well, wait a minute. I don't have to. right? But there's this part of me, it's like my ego or my inner child is, saying, oh, you better, otherwise you're not going to, this person's not going to like you or something, you know?
Yeah.
So I totally can relate. And I'm sure there's millions of people out there who can relate to the
Yep.
same thing. Okay, so when I think about this email, I'm at an irritation at what number now?
The irritation itself is only like a 1 or less. The
Okay.
fear of disappointing other people's now at like a 3.
Okay. And what about the warm heat?
That has more or less resolved, and I'm feeling more like in sort of my solar plexus pit of my stomach kind of feeling that like a little bit of fear of all of that.
Okay. So,
Susan Lee just said I relate
yes.
too. So you're totally right.
Yeah, I
People
see.
relate.
I can see her comment. Yeah, I know. All right, so I want to go into a meditation, which is the optimal EFT, and we're going to work on resolving this leftover fear. And what is in your low belly? A tightness? What did you label it as?
It is a little bit tight. Yeah, it's like a constriction from
Constriction.
fear. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So let's close our eyes. And in this optimal EFT practice, I use a higher power called the unseen therapist. But for whoever's watching, you can use whoever you believe in, angels, spirit guides, the universe, God, it doesn't matter. And we are surrendering, right? Safrianna, you'll surrender your situation. You'll surrender this email, how it made you feel, and this fear that's left at a 3. You'll surrender all of that to the unseen therapist. And this constriction that you have in your low belly, you'll surrender that feeling because that is a stress response feeling to thinking, this, right? This fear of, what was it?
Disappointing people.
Right, disappointing people. So surrender that however you, right? It's just like asking God for divine guidance. It's imagining that you're writing it on a little piece of paper and handing it over. It doesn't matter, putting it all in a little box or a flash drive or something, right? And handing it over.
For me, it's almost always like I'm scraping it up my body and just handing it over, like the energy.
Oh, love it. Okay. Getting that up and out. All right. And we're asking for divine guidance here. And the unseen therapist or whoever your higher power is knows exactly how to bring full resolution to this situation. Right? And we're just sticking to the current situation now. This current situation that we're working on. So come into a loving moment. Imagine a loving moment or a happy moment or a happy place. Something that warms your heart in a good way that might make you smile from the inside out. It can be a moment with your pet, a moment with your child, a moment with a family member, or just maybe you're by yourself, at your happy place. It doesn't matter. Start with that in your heart space and let it grow, right? Every time you take a deep breath in, it expands in your body. It comes, up your body, up to the top of your head, and it grows down your body, down to the bottoms of your feet, to your toes, and down your arms, to your fingertips. And with every inhale, it keeps expanding and filling up your body. And with every exhale, it's integrating in on a deeper level, helping you to be able to anchor into this loving feeling more than something that is the opposite. And doing this helps us to be in our highest self, right? In our own inner source and wisdom, and really being open to hearing messages, having more clarity, gaining the healing that we want or the clearing that we want. So now I want you to step into this feeling of fear of disappointing others. And what happens in your low belly, this constriction, this fear constriction, like, oh no, right? What if I don't respond? What are they going to think of me? And knowing that the unseen therapist is here with you, she is pure unconditional love and kindness and compassion and forgiveness. So helping you to forgive yourself for the ways of having this pattern, and having compassion for yourself for maybe holding on to the irritation. And having some kindness to accepting that it happened and letting it go. Knowing that you don't need to hold on to it any longer in order to protect yourself. Right? It is safe to let these feelings go of irritation and fear. So that you are able to stand strong in your values and conviction of who you are. So come back to your loving, happy moment, happy place, loving place. Feel into that. And again, as you inhale, it expands in your body. And as you exhale, it integrates more deeply into your soft tissue, your organs, the deepest parts of your cells. You can always imagine that your higher power is right here with you, maybe holding you, hugging you. Maybe her hands are on your low belly, helping to just kind of softly break up and untangle the constriction so that there's ease and flow in that area. That's the sacral chakra area where we want that ease and flow of emotions there, right? We don't want to have that constriction. So she's helping to just break it down and break it down until it just becomes dust, just like nothing, and just escapes into the ethers, right out of your body. Staying with your loving moment. Letting the unseen therapist help to clean and clear anything that might be left. And Safrianna, when you feel ready and like this is complete for now, you can open your eyes. Welcome back.
Thank you. Time to drink some tea.
Yes, drink some tea, drink some water for anyone who is watching.
It's lemon tea. That's delicious.
So how was that experience?
It's really interesting. A lot of times when I'm doing unseen therapist meditations. If you watch any of the other episodes, a lot of them I have these wild visualizations. And Meryl, you know that's pretty typical for me. This was really interesting because it was just energy, it was just peace and ease, and then like the occasional words of wisdom just coming in. There was not like a ton of action or processing. And I just had this aha of like, I get irritated when I'm not around people who respect me and my boundaries. That's where it comes up. That
Right.
irritation is like not full blown anger. You've crossed my boundaries in a big way, but those people that sort of niggle at the edges and you're like afraid to speak up or whatnot. So that piece that really settled in is like, I'm allowed to speak up, and the people who respect me and my boundaries, they're not gonna be upset at all if I
No,
am
they would have
taking
been like,
time or
"Are you
resting.
okay? Because this is not like you to respond to me," or something like that. It would have been a totally different response.
Yeah.
You
And
know.
I just think of those of us who are service providers who do healing work or coaching work or guidance or anything like that, where we show up for people, and sometimes complete strangers have expectations they place on us because we hold a certain role that, we should be instantaneous or hold up some end of the bargain that we didn't agree to. And so
Right.
that's just like a message I wanted to share with people is like, if you didn't explicitly agree to something and somebody holds you to that expectation, whether it be in a relationship or your job or whatever, like it's a normal emotion to have, right? And you're allowed to have your boundaries. That's a
Yes.
sign to you that something's misaligned.
Right. Thank you, Susan. I'm glad you thought it was beautiful. And I just want to share that at this point, if Safrianna and I were in a private session, I would say, what is your earliest memory of someone, irritating you because they're pushing your boundaries? Where is this similar feeling? The
Hmm.
earliest memory of the similar feeling. And then you go to that situation and see what's left there that needs to be cleaned up. And there may be many, but you go to the situation that irritated you, still irritates you the most. Um, Ultrasound for the soul. I like that, Susan. Can I steal that?
I love that description too. It
That's a
really
great
is.
description. Thank you.
Get, getting that energetic
Um,
scanning going.
so that's would be the next layer, right? Is to, go back into your past and see where this behavior started of needing to feel fear, that you might disappoint people, and then working on that. And then eventually, the next time you get an email that's like that, you're like, oh, yeah, that's theirs. It's not mine, right? And there's no, attachment or trigger to that anymore. So,
Right. Yeah.
oh, thank you, Susan. She's like, of course, it's yours.
And using these energetic tools such as EFT, energy clearing, connecting with our higher guidance systems, our guides, our ancestors, our whatever our higher power is that we connect with, it expands our capacity to a not be triggered, but also b make space for the parts that would have gotten triggered, right? So we're not bypassing through the irritation or the fear. We're like, huh, what is this teaching me about my balance, my alignment, my like how I want to show up in the world? Because what
Mhm.
that email made me realize was, oh, I don't want people that in our first haven't even interacted at all yet. They don't know anything about me. Already have an expectation for how quickly I should respond when they know
Right.
nothing about my business or who I am or where I'm coming from. And if I had ignored that and just stayed in my irritation and been pissy with this person, right? Or bypassed it completely and pretended it never happened, I wouldn't have found that wisdom of I'm a go with the flow kind of gal. And I will get to things in their divine timing, and I love to be surrounded by people who also see things similarly or they respect that I do, right? So it's just another alignment practice, and that's ultimately what all of this is about. Align and shine, right? When we live a life of our design, we start to see these massive changes in our satisfaction. All right.
Yes.
As I flip the first card,
Oh, what is that?
live your joy.
Oh,
Live your joy. So, solutions from today's Angel Prayers by Kyle Gray. That was the deck that leapt out and wanted to be our collective reading for the day. So I'm asking, tools or considerations as we work through our own irritation, because it's an energy that we're going to face again and again in this human existence, right? But we don't have to be at odds or fight with it. So living our joy is an antidote for irritation. When we choose to say, I'm going to follow what lights me up, I'm going to follow my path that's supporting me, that feeling of irritation begins to dissipate because we're focused on satisfaction and joy, not on surrounding ourselves with things that are trying to limit us.
mm-hmm.
Right? I love that. I love that that was the first one that came up. All right. Other tool for working with irritation is to take a step back. So when I think about this email situation that irritated me, I did do that immediately.
Yeah.
I took a step back and I went, whoa, this much irritation coming up is a sign of something within me rather than reacting. Because, of course, part of me wanted to be like, I've been busy. How dare you? Right? Like that was the initial irritation, is I need to defend myself. But I took a step back. And when we take a step back, we often realize that the irritant is either not ours to hold, or we just needed to get a different angle or perspective on it to resolve it. And then finally, the inner voice. So really listening to that inner voice. Is this in alignment for me? What is this teaching me? What is this bringing me more to, balance within myself? And listening to that higher self, right? I kind of see the unseen therapist as a connection to that voice of our higher self. That's my
Right.
my personal stance, but I think that it strengthens that inner voice. So even having a practice like optimal EFT, where we just take time to listen, is huge in clearing out these like stuck, stagnant, sticky energies like irritation.
Yes, exactly.
So some
Beautiful.
tips from the angels themselves. So anything else you want to say about irritation today, Meryl?
No, I think this was packed with a lot of goodness.
Absolutely. So thank you for leading that EFT practice as always. And again, we're all human. We're all dealing with these same sorts of themes and emotions. You're not alone.
No.
And support is available where you need it. Meryl mentioned she's got another like just brought out YouTube vid about
Hot off the press.
hot off the press.
Hot off the
Yes.
press.
So go check that out. And, I do all of this energetic support in moon calls. There's a moon call tomorrow if you happen to be seeing this on Monday, because we've got a full moon tomorrow in Scorpio, which means we're going to be dealing with all of our heavy emotions. But Meryl and I are here to support. Check out our bios and links in the description. And we will be back in another 2 weeks to keep doing this.
Work on something else. Yeah.
Let us know if you want us to do something specific.
Yes.
All right. Until then.